That, however, will be transmitted as one of the first things people see. Oh, wow. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody is doing incredibly well. I'm hopefully coming across live and clear. And Jan?
I am also hopefully coming across live and clear. And Jan?
Also, yes.
Hello, CG Grind. Yes, Dance Party with Jan and Caboodle.
I've just been notified that... Yeah, I've been notified there's a cat on your shoulder, did you?
Yes, I did.
I've just been notified that we are, in fact, live because I pushed the button. I've got an email.
Yep.
Anyway.
Hello, Roderick. Oh, you know what we should do? Someone said we should do this. We should tell people we're live. So in Discord. So I'm going to do that.
We're live. Oh, yes, because some people need, or not necessarily need, but wanted the ping, didn't they? I remember.
I've just done it to hear rather than everybody.
Gotcha. I am going to do the Twitters, and we can go through
hello,
what we're
Todd.
doing.
Hello, Caboodle. Yeah, so today, well, before we get into today, Mikey, how are you?
Setting up Twitter.
Not what. How are you?
Yeah, I'm absolutely fantastic. I've been feeling like I've been fighting off a cold for a little bit. All the kids in the UK have gone back to school, so we've got plenty of bugs going around at the moment. Jan, you don't have kids, so you will never have a cold. That's how that works.
I mean, I was a teacher.
Digital.
No. I taught in classrooms first. Hello, Indiology. Great to see you actually here instead of just on the recording. And there's one Melicon. Yeah, so today we're going to be playing with the Godot 4 beta, beta 2 specifically. And I want to point out, it still crashes. It crashes a lot. I have had 9 crashes today, 4 of which were in the same 5-minute period, which I was very proud of.
I've got a theory on that. You did something and it caused a crash. So you did it again and it caused a crash.
No, I did different things.
Oh, come on, Godot. Right, I have tweeted.
Yeah, Caboodle is being famous. Iska is asleep on the chair next to me, so it's just Caboodle. She's going to be helping me code, I've no doubt.
Some people have a rubber duck.
Now, there's some things I want to show off. There's some things I'm hoping people will ask about. And I'm going to be primarily focused on 2 things. The new Tukey Kickabout prototype, which is almost ready. And the little bit of sandboxing I've done for the Godot Action RPG. Now, I'm saying a little bit of sandboxing because I don't yet have all the new assets because Mikey's, still doing the things. So I had to convert the old assets. And I want to talk a little bit about what that means. Before, we made a bunch of assets for Godot that you could just drop in and use a tile map, and it was great. And you can still do that. But because we made a decision to use a plain color, plain albedo, and not put any texture on it, just have everything very flat and simplistic and cartoony, really, we didn't bother UV unwrapping everything because it makes no difference.
You need to do that now.
4, it does. In Godot 4, if you do that, the light calculations go weird, and you end up with a wall where you can put an Omni light right in front of a wall, and this side is lit, and this side is in shadow. So I've had to go through and UV unwrap everything and then re-import them, which takes a little while. So, how excited are you for the custom resource exporting? Pretty excited, actually. That's pretty cool. Being able to include things like JSON directly into your game without having to do it externally is fantastic. Hello, Vertex. Hello, Reus. Hello, Gerard. Let's minimize this. I can now no longer see the YouTube, so Mikey, it's all you. And I'm going to open my Godot and then share my screen.
And let me know when you're sharing, and I can flick us over.
And why don't we jump straight into the Action RPG? So I'm just waiting for Godot to load. Godot 4 does take a little bit of time to load on my machine.
Now, I've got your face on the lower left. So if you're going through the file manager at any point, give me a heads up and I'll switch it off.
Sharing.
I can see. Brilliant.
I might give you a heads up. I might not. I'm going to fill this monitor with your face so I can look like I'm talking to you rather than seeing what I'm doing twice. All right. So this is a few hours of playing around. Very, very simple. But there's a few things I wanted to look at. First off, the new volumetric fog is working really nicely. You could turn this up to get some actual God rays. I didn't have them here because they're a bit much. It's a little bit slow down on my machine. I think that's my machine. We've got these stairs down here. This is a very simple controller. The fog is a little heavy. And there is something that turned up for both this and Tukey Kickabout that I want to talk about. Being able to move props like that isn't automatic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close that. I'm just going to quickly drag this over here and reset it to the normal and show you what I had to do to make that work. All right, so this is my player scene. Just a standard little capsule with a camera on a spring arm. So if you walk into a wall, the camera moves with the wall. And the player is on layer 2, that's collision layer 2. And it is interacting with scenery, which is on layer 1, and props. And just to show you what we're doing, go into the test level and go over to this table full of props. Click on any one of these props, let's say the table, and we can check the collision. And it is on layer 3, and it is interacting with scenery, player, and props. So props can interact with each other, etc. And I've gone and looked up the actual weights, which did lead to my most fun Google search of all time. What is the average weight of a human skull in kilograms? By the way, I love that they now put what the mass is, like the unit of mass. The average weight is between 5 and 6.3 kilograms, in case you're interested. So this skull is 5.5. We'll also give the skull a little bit of a
flaming eyes.
Sorry, I'm going to get distracted, but
no, that's fine.
I love the new particle turbulence.
That adds so much more. Often, if you add just a simple particle system, you end up with it looking a bit samey, especially if you've got more than one particle instance across your scene, because then 2 torches end up looking identical.
Yep. All right, so we're going to run this. There's a picture of Mikey for no reason. Okay, I'm going to run this. And when I walk into props, they're not going to move. Now, eventually, they will react. But there's not a lot going on here. They'll react to each other, but not to me. Okay, so why is this happening? Well, this is happening because the props are all rigid bodies, and they are moved by physics, right? Specifically, impulses and forces from certain directions. So they'll take how much they're being moved in a certain direction, where there's interacting, and how they should respond. But the player is a kinematic body, or as it's now called, a character body. And it doesn't interact with physics by design, right? It interacts by direct control. So WSAD and space, this jump is way too floaty, but I'm just using the default values from the built-in script. It can't move the props. Now, this is a problem that you get all the time, right? I'm actually stuck. This is a problem you get all the time because kinematic bodies don't impart force by design. How do you make it work? Now, in Godot 3, all you do is you go to your rigid body. Sorry, all you do is you go to your kinematic body, which is now character body, and you'd scroll down until you found... Oh, no, it's not here. There is no infinite inertia. So how do you make infinite inertia work? This actually took me a little while to figure out because there is no way of... There is no infinite inertia hook in the API. You can't do it by script. So I went looking for why it was removed. And I discovered that Godot 4 has one-way collision masks. So let's take a look at the collision again. The player is on layer 2. It's interacting with layers 1 and 3. It doesn't have to interact with players because it's the only player, so I don't care. The props, let's take a look at the table scene. Give it itchy nose. The prop interacts with layers 1, 2, and 3. So what happens if I tell the player, you don't interact with props? In other words, the player is not going to be stopped. Let's find out. It's a picture of Mikey looking confused.
Oh.
One-way collision masks. Oh, I was so happy when I figured that out. And it's such a cute little thing. And you'll notice it's not infinite inertia anymore. Like there's a lot of sliding going on because I can just keep pushing forever. But the table actually has the correct weight.
So the infinite inertia, if I remember, that's the thing that sends objects flying off literally into infinity when you clip them or collide.
Basically, everything turned into polystyrene. right? Although polystyrene with no wind resistance. You'd hit it and it would just
Mm.
fly because it was infinite inertia, because it couldn't calculate the inertia. Now it's not doing that. It has no idea of how fast the player is going. It has no idea of how heavy the player is. So it's not entirely accurate. Like a heavy oak wooden table should not be moved like that. But when you stop moving, it will move accurately.
That's good.
So that became a thing for this and for Tukey Kickabout, which I'm going to open up now. Let's go to Tukey Kickabout. By the way, while we're doing this, let me know if there's any questions.
I will do. There's no questions. We got Golo Mogoth, a yo. Good evening. And
Yo.
we've got Ryu saying that's a great new feature, quite an elegant solution.
It's nice, isn't it? All right, now there's been a couple of changes since you've seen this, but most of the folks here hadn't seen Tukey Kickabout since I did just a couple of hours of simple work. This is pretty close to feature complete. I would like to get more characters, but it's not really important. So let's see. We'll have player one being, oh, by the way, 3D mesh text. I love mesh text. Mesh text makes all of this so much easier. Let's say, oh, you can't hear the music, can you?
No.
Oh, can I fix that?
I have no idea.
Let me find out. Ah!
It'll have to be quiet anyway, otherwise we won't be able to hear your voice.
Let's try this. Okay, fine.
No.
Mikey can show off the music another time, but it's really nice house music. Let's go with low poly as player one and Tukey as player two.
Can't see anything on your screen at the moment.
How about now?
Yes. Yeah, we can.
All right. So let's restart that.
You should probably explain what's happening with those the score as well, why it's pulsing.
Yep. All right. So I've got a very simple character select. Let's actually go with Annie and low. Annie has soft body ears. Soft body is so much easier now, by the way. And here's low poly. I'm a bit proud of this one. There's your ball. And huh?
Uh-oh. Hot code.
Oh, I know why. Yes, okay. Let's copy you and go to the bunny scene because I made that an individual scene, not an instance scene. That was lazy on my part. No. Let's try that again. Save that. You are now there. Great. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? We have to make sure we don't speak for a second. I'm going to let people hear the thing through my microphone. Can't reach. There we go. Got my headphones back in. Okay. So I've got cheaty rhythm detection. It's not rhythm detection at all. There's no rhythm detection. I've figured out the beats per minute and put the animation the same size. Godot does have the ability to understand how many beats per minute, how long a bar is, and things like that. I just can't figure out how to use that information. Once I do, I will.
And beat detection is actually quite difficult to do. Usually, beat detection is based upon low frequency, so they usually a bass kick or something along those lines.
You will notice, by the way, that I've added these two cylinders in the middle here for a simple gameplay reason. I'm so bad at this game.
Yes.
Okay. Here's why. If we both run at each other at the same time, the ball will flip through one of us, and all you have to do is keep running, and everyone would score. So just put a pillar there. You can't do that anymore. Let me show how much easier soft body is these days. Let's go to bunny.
Ooh.
All right.
Oh, the
For
ears.
those who didn't know beforehand, if you were doing soft body, you would have to pin certain vertices to the shape. However, it wouldn't tell you which number vertex you had to pin.
Oh, that was a real nightmare.
And you had to guess. So basically, it was process of elimination. You'd have to pin one, try it, unpin it, pin another, try it. Now, here's how you do it. Let's go to the left here.
Oh, you can see the vertices.
Well, you can see the vertices before, but the important bit is
You can select
them directly. And when you select them directly, I don't know if you actually see it here. Let's try selecting this one. Come in. Here we go. When you click on it, boop. Oh, it's on page 2, that's why.
Oh, does it toggle every time you select it? It toggles it either on or off. Yeah.
Yeah. But it actually adds it directly to the list, and you can see which ones you've got toggled.
That's
now
really
the reason
useful.
I've got these ones up here toggled is otherwise the ear has no shape. And already there's a bug where if I start the game, if the second character is picked with soft body, you're picking with up and down, which is also a movement. So if I pick Avery with up, his ears are inside out because he's already been moving. However, if I do the exact same thing in the other order, so we'll pick Avery first and then go with low poly, his ears are a little bit better. Now, you see this problem? I added a pin and didn't attach it to anywhere, so it's just pinned to null space.
That looks really painful.
Yeah. So let's go and rescue the poor bunny. Bunny, left ear. We don't need you. Come back.
So I don't know whether you're... What are you streaming at the moment? It just looks like it's locked up our end.
Oh, hang on a minute. Sorry, I'm having trouble with this streaming thing. It should be entire screen. No, I should be streaming it.
There we go. We can see again. Yeah.
I've just deleted the ear. Left ear. Pinned, and I want to remove... which one's left ear? There it is. You know what? I'm just going to remove this one. Now, there are some fiddly bits that you have to deal with. There's 20. There it is. Okay, cool. There are some fiddly bits you have to deal with. Specifically, once you've pinned them, you then have to go in and do the attachments. So if I can remember where attachments are, here we are. So each attachment has to be attached to something. I've attached them all to the character mesh, which is the parent, except for 20 here, which isn't attached. So let's just do that one real quick. Oh, wait, I've just removed 20, haven't I? Once more with feeling. Yes, there is no 20. Okay, cool. So now the ear should work fine.
And then we don't get it stuck to the middle of the scene.
No, I've made it worse.
Perfect.
Great. Let's... Oh, hang on. 19 is unassigned and 18 is unassigned. Well, let's just do that real quick. Boop. Boop. You got to have the boops. Always have the boops. There's Mikey. Great picture of Mikey.
Good job. I'm super pixelated.
I did play a lot with trail meshes and ribbon meshes for the ball, and then I realized it's just distracting, so I got rid of them again. One thing I did do, though, is I don't know if you could see over the camera the gold rays on the spotlights.
Oh, yes. Yep, that is coming across on stream as well. Okay.
A node I didn't know about. So we have the ability to add volumetric. So if I find our environment, which is there's our environment, we can have volumetric fog on, and you don't want this too heavy. But what happens if you want a specific area with more than that? There's a new node called fog volume, where it has different settings, which means you could define certain rooms or areas that will have things like God rays and much thicker atmosphere, and other ones that don't. So you don't have to have all or nothing.
That is really, really useful.
There's also, let's go with the spot for the ball.
A quick question on the volumetrics. Can you load in a volumetric texture yet, so you can have patchy volumetrics?
I actually don't know. It's an excellent question. No, you can't. That would probably be a particle, to be honest. And that's going to have some performance issues, so maybe don't do that. I do know the projector isn't currently working. I've seen the note on the patch where it's being put back on the list. So you could, in theory, add a gobo, which is a theatre term for a metal disc in front of a certain type of lamp that will shine that shape.
That's really useful. So, for instance, if you've got a tree and you would want the sun shining through the tree onto the ground, rather than having to calculate all those shadows, you can just put.
It's great for trees.
Yeah.
It's great for stained glass window effects. It's great for, like, you don't actually want to you're in a top-down or an isometric game. You don't want to show the stained glass window, but you want to give the impression of it. You want to do a like disco effect or anything like that. Like if you have, remember when we were looking at the disco level in Battle Tactics, and I made the disco ball, and the only way I could make it was to make a mesh sphere with holes in it.
And that's costly.
Well, with a projector, you wouldn't have to do that. You just draw the thing. But not currently working. There's also light size, which is interesting. But right here is what I'm looking at. Light volumetric fog energy. So let's change that to 25. So you can set individual lights to have more of an effect on the volumetric fog. Now, this isn't free, right? The resource cost of this will add up. So you should only have it with a couple of lights in a scene, I'm guessing, or disable it based on distance. Also, how cool is this?
Is that your 3D text?
Oh, I mean, putting a 2D GUI on a 3D space isn't that much work, but it's fiddly, right? Especially when you're going to have a fixed view. You really don't want things moving all the time. Like in a case like this, right? I don't really want to spend time going to canvas view and back over here. So let's, in fact, you know what? Let's fake it. Let's say going to add a canvas layer. As a child of that, I'm going to add a control node, and suddenly we're in 2D and I can't see what I'm doing. So I've got to go back 3D and back to 2D and back to 3D and back to 2D. And it's just fiddly, right?
Yeah.
Now we have 3D text. Not only does it work for things like this, if you're doing something like in Battle Tactics where we want player names over people's heads, beforehand you have to mess around with viewports and video channels and video project textures and all kinds of things. Now I can do this.
Whilst you're just setting that up, Mindstammer, good evening to you as well. And Melicon points out that with those projectors, you could also use them for caustic effects as well. So, like at the bottom of a swimming pool, where you have those light patterns that are formed through the light going through the water. Hi, Mikey. And then we can just go into UI. Hi, Mikey. Rather than a low Mikey. Dad joke.
Sorry, I'm not paying attention to that joke. I'm just refusing to. And let's make it bigger.
It's probably for the best.
And there we go. Polly now has a hi Mikey over her head.
Can you use any font for the text meshes? And I presume, can you import fonts from your system?
Yeah, I imported this one. You could use any TTF and OTF, I believe. I think those are the two that are supported. There might be a couple of others. When I tried this in the alpha, I was getting errors with the rendering on some fonts. They would, the normals weren't generating correctly. I don't know if that's been fixed. So I'm going to say qualified maybe.
Hey, you've just sparked something here. I'm just going to switch to both of us whilst I talk about this. So one of the things that you can do once you can import fonts is not all fonts are letters. They can be symbols and pictures and things like that. Wingdings is a great example. But that means that you could import these symbols into your game, and therefore just using fonts themselves have like billboards within your city and other things like that to actually, rather than going off and modeling a little cocktail, I'm sure that is the little martini glass. I'm sure like that is one that you can actually get on Wingdings, and maybe some other icons as well. I need to have a look at that because that sounds like an absolutely fantastic way of adding a load of useful assets to your scene.
I mean, it's interesting you say that because I found something the other day when I was looking at resources. So let's go to our file system, and I'm going to go new resource.
So Miguelino, hope I've said that correctly, says, let's go, Godot 4. And he also says, I want to thank you guys again for your course. It's allowed him to regained his will to be a game dev, especially
Hooray!
on Godot.
Excellent. I believe one of these font source data and pre-rendered glyph cache imported from a dynamic or bitmap font. Variation of the font. Okay, so get load from assistant font. Didn't know that. There is a way that you can generate a font from an image. I'm just not entirely sure what it is. In fact, let's take a quick search.
Oh, so you can import it directly into Godot. So it's a particular Godot feature?
I believe so. Like you can make a character map and import it, I think. I might have made that up. Font name, font style, base font. Yeah, I'll have to explore that. Basically, there's a few things that I haven't seen mentioned before. Also, there are render issues I'm still getting with the SDFGI. Specifically, I'm getting this error every frame.
It's an interesting error.
It's not critical, and I think it's going to vanish. But again, this is a very, very simple game, which is why it's going to be one of the earlier lessons in Godot for everyone.
What's that, Jan? What's Godot for everyone?
I'm glad you asked me that, Mikey. Let's go to the time machine.
Boop.
Okay, I thought you had a time machine button. Godot for Everyone is the spiritual successor to Discovering Godot, dealing with Godot 4. We talked about it last week. You can find the little clips and recordings from it on our channel. And I don't have the image handy. So, Mikey, could you go get the image?
How did I do it last time? Oh, I just shared my screen with the image on it. That is super easy to do. I'll do that
now. And it's a course we're going to be doing in tandem with creating the Your Godot Action RPG project, which was the thing we ran on Kickstarter last year. God, is it already last year? Wow. It's not Discovering Godot redone for 4 because they're whole new projects. And the early 2D projects so far are all very retro style 2D games, classic 2D games, in fact. We have Space Invadux and Pie Sweeper and Spooky Bricks.
Yeah.
But then when we got to 3D, I kind of wanted to, well, I guess this is a classic nostalgia game because this is the one that we're keeping from the previous one. We're just using different characters.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to this new dive into Godot for everyone. It's going to be a beginner's course, and we'll give you more information once it gets a bit more solid. Yeah.
One thing I'm not planning on covering for this, before someone else asks, is online multiplayer, because that is not a beginner subject, and it kind of needs its own.
Well, there was a reason why we developed Godot Getaway, was specifically to cater for that online.
I mean, something like Godot Getaway, or even, to be honest, Mag Racer in Godot 4 would make a lot of sense. And even just on our Battle Tactics game, which is a thing we're developing for Steam, and it's currently in hiatus while we're waiting for our own personal Steam key, so I can actually start putting it there. And I might try putting it onto Godot 4 just to see how it looks. The amount of complexity you add with online multiplayer is no joke. I mean, just basic things that you wouldn't even think of, like who hears the sound and why, starts becoming a whole exploratory thing.
There's a great example with that. So you fire a simple one, first-person shooter. You fire a gun. Mm-hmm. For you need to send a signal to the server that you fired your gun. It needs to send a signal to everybody else so they can have the flash appear on their screen and the sound play on their screen with delay or whatever. But when that signal comes back to your computer, you don't want to hear the fact that you fired the gun and see the flash again. So you need to play all of those resources locally to yourself, and you then ignore that coming back from the server. That's a great example of how you need to really think carefully when you're implementing things in a multiplayer game.
Just to give an idea of why this gets complicated, a multiplayer game is kind of an illusion in the sense that when I'm playing Left 4 Dead 2 with Mikey, which is something we've been doing recently, it feels like we're both in the same space, right? I don't mean he and I mean our characters. But what's actually happening is my computer has a version of the game, and his computer has a version of the game. And when I move a character, the fact that I have moved is sent to Michael, and my character on his screen is moved by that much. But we both have the same thing. If anything goes out of sequence, we're going to start seeing zombies in the wrong place, someone walking through a wall, ammunition not showing up. Like, that's when you start getting really weird behavior. And it's really easy to miss something or send something at the wrong time or bottleneck your entire system. So,
And we've seen that ourselves. We've had rubber banding and everything else where our internet connections just drop out slightly. And there are mitigation strategies for that, but
yep.
It's not a beginner topic. That's the main thing there.
And I can show some of the projects we've got so far, if people want to see them. And there's all kinds of fun things to look at in this version of Godot. One of which is, am I using tweens in this?
I'm not sure. I'm going to switch back to your screen now so we can see what you're seeing.
I'm going to see if I'm using tweens. I think I am. I'm not using tweens anywhere. Huh. All right. So previously in Godot 3.x, if you wanted to use a tween, right, you go to the nodes and you type in tween. There's no tween node because tween is now a whole new thing. Let's say we're going to make a new function and we're going to call it tween the thing. I don't know what we're going to tween, but we're going to tween the thing. Okay. I'm going to make a new variable. I'm going to call it tween.
So is this the name of a song on our new album?
Sure. And now I need to tell it what this variable tween is. It is the object that comes back when I run create tween. Now, beforehand, you would have to do this. Tween.interpolate property. And you'd have to go what object is doing it. And you'd have to go the node path of the thing. And you'd have, it just got huge, right? It ended up being something like 10 or 12 things you'd have to remember to put in. Now, here's how you do it. Interpolate value. What value are we interpolating? Let's say, in fact, let's just open it here. Initial variant, delta value, elapsed time. Great, let's do this. Initial value variant. Let's go with scenery floor. Oh no, I mean scene floor.
Close.
Oh, you know what? You just come over here. I make it such a pig's ear of this. One more time. There we go. Okay. So we are interpolating something on that, and we're going to get its scale. And it's going to go over 1 second. Sorry, it's going to go immediately over 1 second. And it's going to be linear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need one more thing. And we're going to ease out. And that runs the tween, right? So that just does it. On top of that, we can run parallel tweens. We can run them in sequence. We can run a signal from the tween is finished and do something else. It's a lot more variety and control with much less code. I'm going to get rid of this because it's not actually going to do anything that we want. But
yeah, that's got the potential of being able to produce some basic animations in your level, perhaps something appearing, disappearing.
So usually if I want to animate something, I will use an animation player. The reason I will use a tween is when I don't know what the beginning and end values for something are going to be.
You just want it to move between two different states.
Exactly. So wherever you are right now, you need to go over there over half a second.
Excellent.
If I did that with an animation player, it would go from 0, 0 to 0, 1, for example, no matter where I was. So if I was over at 4, 3 and I press go on the animation, it would teleport to 0, 0 and go to 0, 1, which is not what I want. So tween is great when you're going between two values that you don't know yet. Animation player is great when you do know them. So for instance, we've got the scoreboard animation, and it's just a pulse, right? I know what the values are going to be. They're going to be the same every time.
And so you could just repeat that over and
because
over.
I know the beats per minute and I've done the math. In fact, I looked up a beat per minute that would have 2 beats every second, and then I just found a song that would do that and did a half-second pulse.
We've got a question here. So besides some nodes renaming, is GDScript remaining more or less the same, including groups and signals?
Groups and signals are very much the same. There's a okay, so the way you run a signal is slightly different, but only slightly, to be honest. I mean, you're not really going to know the difference in most cases. There's very few changes under the hood in most areas. There are things like I forgot what they were called. Set gets. Set gets are now not. So before we'd do it like this, right? Set get bunny change, and then we'd make a function down here, and we'd call it bunny change, right? And it would take the new value. And we'd have to, set bunny to be the new value and do all the rest of it. However, this is not how this works anymore. That's also not how you spell bunny. Nor is that. Great. Instead, we now can put them in line directly under the variable. So whenever we're running that line, we'll say bunny equals. Actually, that doesn't need to change. Sorry. Set. There you go. I actually haven't played with this. So now, if anything tries to change the, nope. Expected parameter name after thing. Right. Sorry, I haven't actually been playing with the set gets here, so I'm doing this all live. That function quit not found in base. So, oh. Okay, so that's now how you do a set get. It's up there in the variable where you can see what's happening. So there's a new function called set bunny. It's going to reset bunny to 5. So if anything outside of this script tries to change bunny, it's going to reset it to 5 and quit, which I'm going to call the sulking function. So that's a pretty big change in how that works. There's also the way the keywords work now is very different.
Just a quick question, not from the viewers today, but for myself. So you've got that resetting in case something tries to change it. When would you use that rather than having a constant? Because obviously, if something is not supposed to be changed,
the way I would use a set get is when I want something to happen when a variable is changed, rather than say go to this other node and make this function happen, which is not great. I should be using single responsibility with either a signal or a set get, depending. So I might say go and change lives to 4, and when the lives are changed, it will now check what needs to happen to the player.
Gotcha.
That said, a lot of times you'll be using signals, so there's lots of different ways of doing this. Other things that have changed is this is now very different. Export variable pants equals true. You know what? Let's type that. Okay. We are getting an error because that's not how that works. Instead, we now have little keywords. Expected expression that needs to go on this side. Thank you. Okay, so we can now see if we should be. Oh, I need to save this. That's why. Save that. Oh, wait, what script am I on? I'm on the ball. Okay, great. Is the ball wearing pants? No. Yes. No. Yes. There's a bunch of different things you can use this for. And there's other exports in here, like enums, right? Now, this doesn't mean that I can make an export enum called pants type and just put plaid as a string, right? That's not going to work. Instead, here I need to specify what the options are. And now that's an integer, so that should be 1.
Nice.
So there's a lot of fun things like that that can be happening. Some of this is taking a little looking up, specifically when I have to load in. I'm trying to remember where I use this. Was it under goals? No. An array of resources, which is a trick I use all the time, is a slightly different thing now. So let's go on ready. Actually, it's not. Yeah, whatever. On ready. No, let's just make it a variable. Variable. Oh, I know where I use this. Character select. Rather than remaking the entire character select thing. That's a script I'm not using. That is a script I'm using. Okay. Which one is it? It's probably in game state, isn't it? Sorry. This is all very new. Here we go. Beforehand, we had array resource. So we would do export array, resource. This will no longer work. Now it thinks export is a function, an undefined function. So instead, you can now type it as array, and then what type of thing can go in the array, which gives us an array of resources. Now, if I remove that, you now can't drag resources into it. Oh, you wouldn't do it. Well, in fact, let's save it. I don't really want to save it because I'm going to drag them back in, but that's what would happen. So there are some fun things I want to talk about.
Yes. I have another question, sir. Can I ask a question?
Yes, I believe in you.
Awesome. So at the moment, you're saying, for instance, like there, we've got a variable, it's player 1 character. So have I got the wrong end of the stick or the right end of the stick with the strict typing that's coming with Godot 4, that we could potentially, instead of using the var keyword, use a different keyword? Or is that what you're doing there with the int, for instance?
Okay, so all I'm doing here is telling it this must be an integer. Now, you don't have to do this. That will work perfectly well. But if you're using strict typing, I get a number of benefits. One, I'm less likely to get bugs. Because when you've got a lot of variables with similar names flying around the script, it's really easy to lose track of when it's a string, when it's an integer or a float, when it's a Boolean. I mean, you can kind of get away with Boolean and integer depending. 2, if you're using strict typing, you get access to auto-completion because it knows what that variable has to be.
That's really useful.
So if I go... I should have access to, I actually don't know any of the integer things. No. Anyway, we would have access to all of those as strict type.
Gotcha.
3, apparently, there is actually a speed difference in GDScript when you're using strict typing in Godot 4. There wasn't in Godot 3, or at least it was negligible. Now I believe it's like 35%, which on a big game adds up. So
a lot.
There's 3 reasons to do it. I don't use it for everything. I probably should. But yeah.
We've got a question here from Dustin. What about exporting named resources Can we show that?
I haven't actually played with it, and I don't have this set up for export. Every time I try and export, the export doesn't work. But I believe I don't have anything set up for this. I only just downloaded beta 2 yesterday, and I haven't got my export profile, so we'll have to sit here and wait for 10 minutes.
That doesn't sound fun.
So that sounds like something I'll get ready for the next time we do a Godot video.
That sounds perfect.
Because I think we've only got 15 minutes left.
Probably don't want to sit for 10 of those watching a download.
There's all kinds of other fun things you can do. In general, I mean, I'm still lost in some areas, obviously, because I'm still getting used to it.
Oh, sorry, we misunderstood that. Dustin's just come back. No, I mean exporting names resources to the inspector.
Oh, okay. So that should be right. Can't do that. And this is a resource. Like so. So now it can be any kind of resource in there. Is there an export resource as well? There isn't. There's other things you can do though. One of the things that I really love, let's say Mikey's nose is now an integer. Export range. Mikey, how many noses do you have?
That looks like a float, but definitely.
It does look like a float. Maybe range has to be a float. There's a couple of others that are fun as well. One of them is color no alpha, which.
Okay, nice. It automatically converts it to the circle. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
So yeah, just the trick with exporting or exposing variables to the inspector, let's put it that way, because I got confused with the export, is knowing which keyword to use. Specifically when you need to have an array of specific things. So
yeah,
whereas before you could just do export bracket array comma integer, that won't work. So you need to know export variable Mikey is an array, and in that array we are accepting integers.
And then you get to pick a number or type one in. Nice.
But yeah, good question. Speaking of questions, do we have any more?
If you have any questions, now's the time to pipe up and let us know.
I'm going to switch back to the other project. Or should I show some of the... Oh. I think I took my computer with it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh, there it goes. Ah! Okay, that's a new crash. I've not had that one before.
Yay! So Godot does crash at the moment. Whilst Jan's sorting it out.
It's taking my monitor with it.
Give Jan his monitor back. Dustin was just clarifying a bit there. So I guess what I'm asking is, if you make a resource with a class name of cat, can you export that? Can you make an export of a resource of the name?
Yes, you can.
Let me know when you're back.
I've got to remember how to make a resource in Godot 4.
There we go.
Well, let's just make a 3D scene. Cat. You can live at the root. Stupid place to live, but you're going to live there. Okay. So we want to go. Must extend resource. You are a resource. No, this doesn't count as a resource. Damn it. I've forgotten how you save things as a resource in 5. This is my problem. Can I make you a resource? Once it's been made as a resource, which I will look up for the next time we do a Godot video, that's all you'd have to do, right? You just have to type what kind of resource it is, and then it would only accept cats. Because we don't have a valid resource called cat yet, it doesn't know what I mean, so it's not doing it.
That makes sense. And hopefully that makes sense to Dustin as well. Extends resource instead of node.
Oh, extends resource. Oh, for the love of me. I did actually know that.
There we go. No worries, Dustin. That's part of the fun of doing anything live.
Absolutely. All right, let's try that again. Export variable animal cat.
And it's also completing, which is nice. And there we go.
New cat. There we go.
Who would have thought getting a new cat was that easy?
Both my cats looked at me when I said that.
Panic.
So let's just delete this. So yeah, that's how you do that. I'm sorry, my nose is so itchy. Don't save. Don't save. Oh, it's going to make me do all of them, is it? I see. Oh, there's the crash.
We can see your pain. So this is just one of the benefits. Even though we're on beta version 2 at the moment, we are sad to report that Godot's still
not quite there.
It's not quite there. When we're down to maybe how many crashes a day do we need, or how many days until the crash happens? That's really it, isn't it? You can't have multiple crashes in a day. So frustrating.
One, I can't record them that way, and two, I don't think it's the best learning journey.
No, it's very challenging. I've had this with Blender crashes. You know, it's one of those things. I've had it for when you've got it crashes and you're like 15 minutes into recording, and that's no good. You have to go back and you have to start again. And if it crashes more than once, it's a real pain.
It's Space Invader. Just for those people who missed it,
switching back
the
over.
First project of Godot for everyone is going to be Mikey's face.
Oh, it didn't update. I pulled a funny face.
It won't update. It's frozen. That's why it's here rather than showing you Godot. Here we go. Again, you're not going to hear the music, but the music's quite good.
So this is Space Invader Ducks.
These don't do anything yet.
I like the fact you can shoot the eggs.
Sorry, I can't hear you. So there you go.
That's brilliant.
If you want to hear the sound effects and the music, including my very well-made quack sound effect, Mikey will have to play it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.
That's awesome. I'm going to come back to just the both of us. Yeah, Godot 4's it's really shaping up now to be pretty awesome, especially now. It is getting more and more stable. That cannot be denied. Even though you are having multiple crashes, it's definitely more stable. Quack.
You'll be pleased to know not only did I just go quack into a microphone, I also processed it.
Explain.
I put a little bit of chorus into it.
Oh, so it was like a chorus of ducks.
Yeah, well, you can't actually tell, but I did. I almost put vocoder in it, and that just sounded like
an 80s pop song.
It sounded like Kraft Ducks.
Okay, now we've got the name of our new acapella album is Kraft Ducks.
Well, I mean, if Mikey suddenly sums us up with a bunch of free time between, kids and married life and a bunch of videos, he could totally do the soundtrack for these games. If not, I'll just use these.
Whack, 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 whack.
So yeah, Mikey has older versions of all those games, but if you want to hear the sound effects and music, that's the best way we can do it. I don't know if he still has them installed. Otherwise, if you have questions, now's the time, because I'm getting ready to make dinner.
I will have a quick look and see if I've got them.
I believe you do. You did last week.
I tend to empty a folder every now and again. I've hidden OBS, so I can't control that. Let's pop you over there. Okay, so let's have a quick look at
More
Space
questions from
Infodoc.
Gollum. I'm enjoying the golf in that name.
Okay. I can see it's a statement at the moment.
I was just waiting on the build-up.
Oh yeah, I'm not sharing my screen. There we go.
How do you make changes to the project? By default, Godot 4.
Hold on, Jan. They wouldn't have been able to hear you because I was playing the game music. Just died. Right, let's go back to us for a moment.
By default, in Godot 4, it will just work. So let me try showing you that. Share my screen.
Zoop.
This time I'm not showing my home email address in a very professional way. Let's open, I don't know, Tuki Kickabout. And we'll get this lovely picture of Mikey.
Lovely.
Okay. So let's say we are running Tuki Kickabout, which currently run right. Let's say we're running Tuki Kickabout. And we want to change something. So let's open Godot, and I'm just going to go. So it's still running in the background, right? Right there. Let's go into character select, which is.
And of course, if you had two monitors, you could have the editor full screen and have the game playing on another monitor.
I frequently do. But let's say we want to change the color of this wall.
Anyway. So yes, you can live that. That's really useful being able to do that.
I believe if you want to turn those off, you go to debug and synchronize script and scene changes. And now
that won't happen.
The difference here is these are on by default in 4 and they were off by default in 3.
That makes a lot of sense. Of course, the reason for turning them on and off, if by changing a value, it's got to update thousands of things, you probably don't want that to be live. Otherwise, you could cause it to slow down massively whilst you're just changing colors and all that. So
I've stopped sharing, by the way.
Good, cool.
So yeah, that's a little play with Godot 4 Beta 2. I'm really looking forward to it being more stable. Already, I mean, I was saying this to Mikey a week ago when I was putting together the very basics of Tuki Kickabout. It's a very simple game, so you put the basics together in a few hours. It just looks so much better. Like the rendering, the lighting, the toon shading just looks so much better than it did.
I mean, on one level, it's rather shallow because a decent game doesn't have to look pretty, but ultimately it does look prettier, and therefore it will attract more people just because of that.
It will attract more people, although there is something to be said for style here. I think a game not looking that pretty because that's part of the design aesthetic is great. A game not looking that pretty because you don't have the choice is less great.
Yes, if your game looked a bit last generation because you're trying as best as you can, but you couldn't quite reach there with the speed and optimization that you might have had. Now it's so much better being able to do that. I'm also going to download
quick
Beta 2 as well.
Shout out to, I forget the name of the game. Let me. I don't own it, but just look at what it's called. Dome Keeper was released, I believe, a week ago, and is written in Godot, and actually has Godot up on the logo when it loads up. I don't have it, but I've been seeing a whole bunch of streamers playing it, and a lot of my friends are enjoying it. So great work.
Nice.
So yeah, I think it's a great time to get ready for Godot.
I like it. Next week we have our Blender stream, and
I'll be doing the easy bit.
yes, Jan will be sat there reading the chat, and we're actually going to be having a look at writing a Python script. So I've gone through and made sure it worked this time, rather than just la 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 la. It turned out okay. It's one of those things. It turned out that practicing for it meant that it was perfectly easy. It happened to work exactly how I thought it would have worked. Live, that can all go wrong. So we're going to be taking. We've used the website Low Spec before when it comes to grabbing palettes, and I want to be able to just download a palette and import it straight into Blender and create material straight away, so I can just get on with it. Now, there is an argument, of course, that, well, I can just copy those values into Blender, and if it's only 8 colors, so what? But now imagine you do that several times. We're going to write a script to make sure that we can just go ahead and do it. And I checked, it works. What was really fun was trying to work out a way of doing it that was easier to follow. So I hope I have simplified it enough. And that's going to be in Python, so it's going to be very similar to GDScript as well.
And before we pootle off, I just want to lead us all in a chorus of happy birthday to my girlfriend, Jess. So happy birthday. No.
To you.
No, we'll get sued for that one. We wish you a happy birthday. We wish you a happy birthday. We wish you a happy birthday. Now, please don't sue our channel.
I think it's only that middle bit where it goes, it goes up. That is copyrighted. I don't know. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having us and for the jelly and the ice cream. We had a lovely time. For those of you in America or the United States, when I say jelly, I mean jello. What you call jelly is called jam. Now, when I say jam, you're thinking of something else. You're thinking of something that we call aluminium.
Aluminum. So thanks, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Yes, we'll do Roderick saying 2 months. Bye.
I can't do 2 hands.
It.
No, I can't do 2 hands.
Press it. Press it with your foot.
Bye.
Bye.